We are going to go ahead and call the April 11th, 2022 regular meeting of the City Council to order. Let the record reflect a starting time of 7:26. With that, Clerk Jackson, would you please take the roll?
Councilmember Brown. Councilmember Daniels.
Present.
Councilmember Garza.
Here.
Councilmember Hussein.
Here.
Councilmember Jackson. Councilmember Spatafor. Councilmember Spitzley. Councilmember Wood.
Here.
We are quorum, all present. So next we are to meditation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Council members, do we have anybody we need to remember tonight? Vice President Wood.
Thank you, President Hussein. As I'm sure many up here on the dais are already aware of, and a number of people in our community, on Sunday afternoon, Tony Benavides passed away. Tony Benavides served this community for a number of years. He served as the executive director of the Crystal Ray Community Center starting in 1969 and served them for 33 years. He was first elected to council in 1982 and served on council for 22 years. And then as president of council when Mayor Hollister took a position with the Grand Home administration, he served as mayor for 3 years. Tony was the first elected Hispanic mayor for our community and the first elected Hispanic council member. He was a champion of those in need. He had a compassionate heart that went out to everyone in the community. I know that he will be lost. His loss will affect a number of us. He leaves a wife, Carmen, and his 4 children, as well as grandchildren. And if we could remember him at this particular time, and I'd also like to ask the mayor if we could consider putting our flags at half-staff, and apparently he wants to comment on that as well.
Sure, Mayor Shore.
If it's appropriate at this time, we actually have gone back and forth on the flag question. The president and the governor can lower flags. We think we can for the city, but I can't ask anyone else, so we're looking at doing it on the day of the funeral, lowering it for the day of the funeral. Again, we've been going back and forth on flag etiquette. I've learned more today than, and Councilman Daniels probably can teach me, but the governor and the president can order flags lowered. Mayors cannot for the general community, but we will lower our flag.
I appreciate you looking into
Yeah,
it.
we will lower our flag, it looks like, on the funeral day. That way, it's not one specific day. We absolutely want to honor the mayor, so we're on the same page.
All right,
Thank
thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Garza.
Thank you, Council President. I, too, would like to remember Tony Benavides. He was a pillar in our community. He will be greatly missed. You know, ex-mayor, did a lot of good things for our community. His wife was my assistant principal at middle school, at Otto Middle School. And I just want to let their family know that my condolences are with them, and my family and I will be praying for your family, and we hope you can get through this hard time.
Yeah, and I would just add very quickly, too, with regard to Tony, you know, when I decided to run for council back in 2015, he was one of, it was actually him and Carmen, one of the first individuals that I sought out for council. And they were incredibly kind. They didn't know me. I, of course, knew who they were and knew of the work that they had done in our community, particularly in Southwest Lansing, which is why I wanted to seek out advice and counsel from Mr. Benavides. But they invited me into their home on more than one occasion. We had some great conversations, and very, very, you know, it's just palpable, right? It's the goodness and decency of those individuals seep through their pores, and the work that they have done, just incredible in terms of our community. When we, back in 2019, renamed these chambers, the mayor actually, at the time, declared May 6th as Tony Benavides Day. I thought it was incredibly fitting. And so, again, huge and tremendous loss for our community as Vice President Wood said, or asked, we ask that you keep not only Carmen and the 4 kids in your prayers tonight, but also the 7 grandchildren. This is just a tremendous, tremendous loss for them, for our community, and just an incredibly sad time. That said, are there others? Mayor Shore.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't want to repeat what you and the Vice President said. I will add to all of that. I think Mayor Benavides was there for me also from the beginning. He didn't know me. I was county commissioner when he was councilman and became mayor, and he was very helpful. I will never in my life forget the smile of that man when he sat right over here and we dedicated the plaque. Him coming back here and coming into my office and seeing that office and being here, that was touching. That was touching. When I came in, we had talked about, do we name a park after him? What do we do? And myself and Councilmember Wood and Councilmember Washington at the time, we all kind of batted around and said, why not the council chambers? I mean, this is about as appropriate as it gets. So that to me will be his memory for me, but his lasting influence is certainly a lot more than that. Linda Sanchez Gazella on my staff certainly is very close with the family, and she told me Uncle Tony passed over the weekend, and you sit there and you take stock. You thank God for him, for his influence and everything he's done for all of us, and thank you for the opportunity to share.
Absolutely. If you would please rise and join us in a moment of meditation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Thank you.
We are next to approval of the proceedings of March 28th.
Vice President Wood.
Thank you, President Hussein. I would move the minutes of March 28th.
All right, there is a motion on the floor. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Next, consideration of late items.
Vice President Wood.
Thank you, President Hussein. At this time, I would move for the consideration to suspend the Rule 9 to allow for the consideration of late items that will be considered as part of the regular meeting. We have a resolution to set another show cause hearing for the property at 3601 Deerfield, and that will be, we're asking for action this evening. The other is the acceptance of streets on the Red Cedar project, and that would be referred to city operations at the appropriate time.
All right, there is a motion on the floor to suspend Rule 9. Is there further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Okay, next we are to special ceremony and presentations. And the first presentation is from the mayor, American Rescue Plan Act, second tranche appropriation recommendation.
Mayor Shore.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's nice to finally be able to be here with this. We've been working on this quite a bit for a while. Recently, I was in a call, and Gene Sperling, who's the senior advisor to President Biden and the White House coordinator of the American Rescue Plan Act, he said at the briefing that the aim of the rescue plan was twofold: to prevent a dark economic winter and to ensure a sustainable and equitable recovery. And we kind of took that to heart. Myself and Desiree Kirkland and Jake and Emily, who I know were presenting earlier, we've been doing a lot of work on this, and Jane, since she got here. We had a public hearing where we had several groups come in and talk about the needs of the community. We have taken comment through email and calls and texts and from many of you, and we have put together a plan that we believe will be the best possible use of the ARPA dollars that have come through. So you already know, we gave you a full spreadsheet. I think it was this afternoon. We were working on it through this morning, trying to get everything right. It should have come into your email this afternoon. No?
We have not received that, no.
Okay, we'll make sure to get it to you then. I thought it was sent this afternoon. So we will have a spreadsheet to you you all can check out. But we focused on a variety of different areas. We certainly focused on economic development. Do you have those, Jake? Okay, thank you. We focused on first the areas that are allowable. So that's really important. You know, there were only a certain number of areas that were allowable. So we had to certainly limit it to these areas. We focused on economic development. A lot of our corridor, downtown facade and artwork, small business assistance, neighborhood grants, a lot of those were pulled out of the budget and put into here and increased in the number. What you have in front of you now is actually the next potential 2 years of spending. So we put all of those programs in. We focused on economic mobility, looking at helping out folks through our Office of Financial Empowerment and programs, helping out with driving with DWL balances, looking at guaranteed income pilots. We focused on education, and we made an announcement a few days ago, along with the school district, of creation of graduation counselors in partnership with the school district to help our kids graduate. We focused on public health. Our parks certainly have some needs, and we want to be able to meet transformational in the use, so we wanted to add a lot of new things. We know that disc golf works, so we added some more disc golf, pickleball, splash pads, basketball, childcare, working on some of those areas, police athletic leagues, a lot of things with our citizens and help. We talk about, you'll see in here, down payment assistance programs. The last several years while I've been here, we have the LHOPE program where where our employees can get houses and can get down payment assistance. So we've talked a lot about expanding that, and I want to do that. So we'll put together a pot of money where we can talk to some local businesses and say, hey, you know, you have people come to work for you, have them live in Lansing, and we'll work with you on down payment assistance. We have what we're calling critical agency support. There are several different agencies you'll see on here, many that are familiar to you, some recommended by the NAACP, some recommended by the Assembly of Lansing Pastors, the YMCA, the zoo, a few others that we are providing support for. The Southside Community Center, Mikey 23. We're providing for a lot of those areas where we can use assistance in our community. We added what we're calling equitable economic development. And this is a pretty big price tag. This is $2 million a year for 2 years. This is working with LEAP to make sure that we are helping those business owners, those minority business owners, those black and brown business owners who haven't had the same opportunities in the past. We know LEAP has this program, and it's been working pretty well. Their funding runs out. So we're going to put money into doing that here in Lansing. And putting sizable dollars for equity is really important. Again, you know, this is what Gene Sperling said was originally an intention of the program. We talk about, you'll see a few things on community center aid. We have a lot of churches and other groups that are doing community center work through their facilities, so we want to assist in those areas. Gun violence assistance and prevention, employee pay. We put in $1 million a year for 2 years in what we called council priorities. This is something that is in essence unallocated that we wanted to hear from you all. You know, what are the things that are important to you, and how can we spend that $1 million? You know, is it sustainability for, you know, as Councilman Jackson has brought up in the past? You know, is it lights in parks? Is it, you know, whatever your issue or your thing is that you think it needs to go towards? You know, we didn't. Is it cold case money? You know, I know Councilwoman Spitzley has been a leader on that. So we kind of left some of that open, $1 million a year for 2 years, hoping that council will provide their input on that. That way you had to kind of have available dollars without having to try and move it from one place to another. Finally, city and LEPFA operations. You know, we do have needs in our city. I know you had the fire department here. We have fire equipment that has needs. LEPFA has needs. I think we put something like $2 million a year, or no, it was $1 million a year for $2 million for equipment and other needs that we have in that area, wherever it's allowed under the qualifications. So that will be a fund that we can use to try and update a lot of our aging equipment. So these are the generic areas. Again, you've got kind of the whole list here. I'm not going to read it off. You'll have time. I will remind everybody that we don't expect to get these dollars until August. So we have time. Now, that being said, I want to make sure that we're connecting with the organizations, we're getting contracts in place, that we're getting everything ready. So when we get the second tranche of ARPA dollars, we can get them out. I don't want to be behind the eight ball. I want to be ready. So these are the different areas we've identified dollars for. And you can take a look at it, review it, give me a call. We can talk about it next time. I think it's going to committee, and certainly we can have conversations in committee. Many of these organizations, I'm sure, will want to come in and talk to you. The United Way, they made some significant asks, some good programs. Again, our Office of Financial Empowerment, our EDC staff, the NAACP, our Parks and Rec, and then a variety of other different groups that are getting dollars. So any of those folks, I'm sure, would be willing to hear any questions, but we present this today to City Council and to the public.
Sure, and this is up for referral tonight. Sorry, it will be referred to the Ways and Means Committee.
Oh,
Do we have any questions?
there is a resolution that goes along with this, and that I know was in the council packet. That came in on Friday. That's the generic appropriation resolution.
We appreciate it. Do we have questions or comments? Councilman Jackson.
So just thinking about my fourth ward and seeing that there's money for Hunter Park pool upgrades, I'm just wondering if there's any money for Morris Park pool, just because there's so many people that really care about it and been asking about it.
Yeah, Morris Park Pool is $6 million, and I did not think it was appropriate to take $6 million and put that into that pool without a sustainability plan. I mean, that's $6 million just to get it fixed and to get it up to standard, and then we need to have plans moving forward. And with the committee, we've talked about this. We've talked about raising the money and going for grants, and I've been working with the committee on that. But we also need to be able to sustain that, so we need dollars moving forward. And to be honest with you, $6 million is a lot of money to take away from a lot of these things. So no, I did not put that in here.
Thank you.
Seeing no one else. Clerk Jackson.
All right, our next presentation is about the Fourth Amendment to the lease agreement with Lansing Shuffleboard LLC for Riverfront Drive. Not sure who's speaking on
Vice
that.
President Wood.
I understand that we have people that are here to make the presentation. If they could come forward at this time. Tonight, we'll be setting, as part of our council agenda, the public hearing, which will happen on the 25th of April. This is an overview for council to understand what the revisions are for this lease. So I'll turn it over.
All right. Is that coming through? All right. Yes. All right. Thank you, Vice President Wood, Council. As was mentioned, this is a discussion for the Fourth Amendment to the lease for the city market property for Lansing Shuffleboard, Lansing Shuffle LLC. This is for the setting of the public hearing to discuss that further. But just wanted to give an update on that. My name is Chris Klein from Lansing Economic Area Partnership, and I'm joined by Kirsty Dukerubel. Yep. All right. And just to give a brief overview, and I think there was a presentation. I'm not sure if that's available. It is on the screen. All right. So just two quick points about this. The purpose for the update is twofold. First, the revised line to the southeast, it now abuts city right-of-way rather than including it, so it cleans up that and protects city right-of-way. And then there is a revised north line to accommodate the proposed shuffleboard courts within the area, as it wasn't able to accommodate those previously. So, Kirsty, you want to?
Yeah, sure. Good evening. My name's Kirsty Ducarubel. I'm the project manager for Lansing Shuffle. If you could go to the second page of the presentation, please. So this just shows what the current boundary is in red and the proposed changes in blue. You can see the new lines at the south and the north that Chris was talking about. The line at the north is what our team has put forward. Obviously, the cleanup of the south was something that that your staff corrected. We are requesting 14 additional feet to the north. That's that grassy sloped area that goes down to the Sandy Park, or Sandy Beach. This provides sufficient room for the shuffleboard pavilion that we plan on constructing there, and for sufficient walking path around the pavilion as well, so that folks can continue to traverse from the City Market apartments to the Riverwalk and the patio there, which I know is a common kind of cut through. So we wanted to keep that open for the general public to use. It is just 14 additional feet. I'm happy to answer any questions you all have. I'll give a just really quick update on construction, because that's more exciting than this request. We broke ground 2 months ago on February 1st. Started with demolition and mechanical and plumbing, and we'll be starting with cement and carpentry next week, and we're still hopeful that we'll be able to open in August.
Thank you so much. Do we have any questions, comments? Councilman Garza.
Thank you, Council President. How much dedicated parking do you have allotted for that area?
We will be using the parking that is provided across the street. We have an agreement, it's in the lease, I think it was part of the original lease agreement, not any of the amendments, that parking passes are provided. But we don't have any dedicated parking spaces for our building.
Okay, so how many passes will be available for that lot then?
I don't recall offhand, do you?
I'd have to check. I believe it's 2,000 on a monthly basis. I think there is 5 spaces provided through the lease, although where those spaces are located, not quite sure. But those would be, like, I guess, dedicated in a way, but they'd be out within the property, the lease property. I can check quickly here. I have the lease agreement.
Mayor Shore has his hand up.
But I can
Can you
address.
Speak to that.
Yeah, I can address some of that.
Thank
My
you.
understanding was the deal was, this is the Lansing Center open lot, or our lot that's under the Lansing Center, and very few people park there after 5. So whoever parks there, you park there, and there is a charge. You go in, you eat, they give you a validation, and then you take the validation and you stick it in the machine, and then you get to leave for free. So it's a validation system. I think we said something like 2,000 a month. It was just a general, this is how many discounted you're going to get, but I mean, it's fungible. It's just a matter of making sure that they get some kind of a discounted parking at our lot, where there are going to be very few people anyway. So it's all positive income for the city, and they get discounted parking and get an area to park people.
Great, thank you.
Are there other questions or comments? All right, thanks so much. We appreciate you guys being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our final presentation is Act 8 2021, the real estate purchase by GG Acquisitions for the parking lot 50 at the corner of Pierre Marquette and Shiawassee Street.
And for that, we have Councilman Garza.
Thanks, Council President. I believe we have some members here to speak on that as well, and we will also be setting the public hearing for April 25th. So this is a presentation by Mr. McGrain and Mr. Gillespie. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Councilman. We appreciate this. Thank you for your time, council members. Essentially, to boil this down, the Department of Economic Development and Planning, via the mayor, is proposing sale of our Lot 50. This is a lot over there, essentially across from what we're familiar as the Back 40. This is off Pierre Marquette and Shiawassee. It's the southwest corner. It's a lot, as we've looked back in time, we're not even quite sure why we have it. It was a positive asset to the parking system, but if you look at some of the numbers which I believe have been provided to you, certainly parking has dropped off during pandemic. We essentially regard this as excess lottage. Now, if you will, we don't know that this is going to be one that fills up into the future. Our proposal is to sell it. Actually, we were approached by Mr. Pat Gillespie here, who I think can share with you some of the plans they have for this lot.
Thank you, Brian. Pat Gillespie, president of the Gillespie Group. Thanks for taking the time to review this. The reason that we are exploring this purchase, we own a building on Pierre Marquette, the old McNamara's warehouse that is directly adjacent to this. And we also own a building on Larch Street, 300 North Larch. It's a stucco building that's gray that has the words BMC on it, Business Machine Company. Both of those have been vacant for years. And we'd like to develop the 300 Larch site. It is a building that looks down into the baseball stadium, so it's got some unique features. What our plan is right now is we've approached a couple of corporate headquarters. One's smaller, one's bigger, about building a new headquarters or redoing that building and having it be highly visible from the baseball stadium. They both seem very interested. They're both being courted by other municipalities that are in the suburbs that have free parking. So we needed that parking lot in order to help attract them to that site. There is no guaranteed deal. We are competing with others to get these. So in order to make our site more competitive with the others in the suburbs, the parking lot is needed in order to fully park the building. One building would be about 35 to 40,000 square feet, and the other one would be approximately 13,000 square feet. So two different style buildings. Regardless, they both need the parking.
Other questions or comments? Vice President Wood. And very quickly, I just wanted to correct one thing. I think you said that we were setting the public hearing for the 25th. The public hearing is actually tonight. Vice President Wood.
My question, Brian, to you is, were there any improvements made to that lot or any repaving that we have done in the last couple of years?
There was, and I'm not sure if you'd received the entire report out from Planning Board, but yes, this was a lot that was repaved in early 2020. It was, again, part of the package we'd put together to take care of a lot of our facilities. So it was repaved rather recently.
Do we have the cost of what that
The cost was around $125,000.
Okay. And then the sale price we're looking at
Is $125,000 as well.
so there's no value in the land.
There is a value in a land. We had an appraisal conducted. I will tell you, there's also, I hate to say, a negative value in this lot going essentially unused. This was something that we paved thinking that this was going to be a lot of opportunity for us in the future. We do not see people from the city parking system reparking in this anytime. I don't know that we would have paved this, if we could look back again 2 years and think about what's transpired. But I will say I think there's a shelf life on the improvement that we did make to the property. So I think to us, it's more important to get this back into productive use, to essentially get parkers on there to support a development, to put it back on the tax rolls, and to, in fact, again, support businesses coming into town and bringing workers.
Because this is a parking lot, then the revenues from this would go back into the parking system, correct?
I believe so.
I'm seeing Ms. Kirkland say yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, are there other questions or comments? Seeing none, we appreciate both of your time. We will obviously, as stated earlier, have the public hearing on this issue later on tonight. Okay?
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Okay, next we are to comments by the council member and the city clerk.
Do we have any council member comments? Seeing none, I'll go into, and I apologize, I have a number. First, I want to thank folks that came out to our Southwest Lansing constituent contact meeting this past Saturday. We had that, as we always do, on the second Saturday of the month, 10 to 12 noon, and that was at the Elfrida Schmidt Southside Community Center, which is located at 5825 Wise Road. Specifically, I want to thank Councilman Brown. I want to thank Judge Simmons, Chief Sozeby, Fire Commissioner Kathy Toby, Robin Anderson King from the Department of Neighborhoods and Arts and Citizen Engagement, I think is what it now is, Luciana Solis, who is our community engagement advocate out of the mayor's office, and Public Service and Swag Board member Jason Wilkes, who was on hand, as well as our one of our advisory board members on the HRCS advisory board, Jody Washington. An excellent meeting in terms of just a rich exchange of information. And those folks that were on hand, it's so incredible because essentially what happens is, when you have folks coming in from Southwest Lansing, and they're engaging in this way, the advocacy that happens in the wake of those meetings. And so already, we are seeing fruits of essentially that meeting. There's been a number of emails, a number of calls that have been placed, and issues are being moved. And so that's really the power of those meetings, and I invite folks to come out. We actually have our next meeting scheduled for next month, May 14th, 10 to 12 noon, same place. The focus of that meeting is going to be economic development. I've said often that if you're not talking about economic development at every turn, you're really not talking about anything, because everything goes with economic development, investment, job creation, et cetera. So we will have Carl Dorscher in with us from the LEDC. Again, the focus will be economic development, but we'll certainly talk about other South Lansing issues as well as city council updates. I also want to announce the annual SWAG Day of Service. SWAG stands for the Southwest Action Group. They are hosting, again, their annual SWAG Day of Service / community cleanup on April 23rd. This will begin at 10 a.m. The group will meet at the Southwest Town Square at 3434 Pleasant Grove Road for light refreshments, project coordination, that type of thing. The projects that have been developed thus far: trash pickup, flower planting. There will be some mulching that occurs. There will be a focus on maintenance at Beacon Field, which is just across the street, just across Pleasant Grove, from the Town Square, as well as Town Square beautification. So certainly invite folks to come on out. Tools and things of that nature will be provided. I do believe the group is asking for folks to bring their own gloves. Also, there's a new business in Southwest Lansing that I want to announce. There is a Mexa-Treats and Taqueria restaurant at 3418 Pleasant Grove Road. So it's actually in the plaza behind the Town Square at 3434 Pleasant Grove Road. Had an opportunity to stop in. They have some excellent choices, delicious, and we really just appreciate their investment in Southwest Lansing. So I certainly encourage you all to get out and to thank them for their investment and maybe spend a few dollars in their business. And then lastly, we have a number of neighborhood meetings that are going to take place over the next couple weeks. First, the Churchill Downs Neighborhood Association meeting. That'll take place Tuesday, April 19th at 6:30 p.m. They have a new meeting location. They used to meet at Wainwright Elementary, right on Wainwright. They have actually shifted over to meeting at the Elfrida Schmidt Southside Community Center in the Sandy Allen Room. So if you are, residentially speaking, if you are in the areas bound by, I believe it's Jolly to the south, Waverly to the west, Holmes to the east, and Holmes to the north, and Wainwright to the east, you are actually part of the Churchill Downs neighborhood meeting, and they would love to see you there. The Colonial Village Neighborhood Association meeting, the next meeting, is Wednesday, April 20th at 6:30 p.m. That meeting will take place at Grace United Methodist Church at 1900 Boston. And that neighborhood runs south to Holmes, west to Pleasant Grove, north to Mount Hope, and east to South MLK. And then the last neighborhood meeting that I have to announce is the Luton Rich Neighborhood Association meeting, which is Thursday, April 21st at 7 p.m. That'll take place at the Mayflower Church at 2901 West Mount Hope, and that neighborhood runs south to Victor, east to Pleasant Grove, west to Bedford, and north to Mount Hope. So I typically attend all of these neighborhood meetings, so I certainly hope to see folks out and about. That being said, Clerk Jackson.
Yeah, thank you. On behalf of City Clerk Chris Swope, just want to provide an update on the Lansing School Bond Proposal Special Election. That will be held on May 3rd. Every voter has the option to select a voting method that works best for them. So you vote at home, vote on election day, at your precinct, or vote early. And all this information is available on your website at lansingvotes.com, or you can call us at 517-483-4131. For those who want to vote from home, you must submit a request to receive a ballot, and there is still time to do so. The quickest way is to submit online through lansingvotes.com, our webpage. But if you're relying on submitting a paper application in the mail, please remember, plan about a week for the mail. So it takes up a week for us to get the application, a week for you to get the ballot. And if you mail it again, mail it back to us, that'd be another week. So we want to move fairly quickly. But if you can always use our drop boxes, which will much expedite that process. But you can now vote early at either City Hall or during regular hours, 8 to 5, or our South Washington election unit. The South Washington election unit located in the back of the building with the free parking. We have extended hours every Wednesday until 7 o'clock, and we'll be open limited hours on that last weekend. Again, give us a call if you have questions. That concludes comments.
Yeah, very quickly, I think I overlooked Councilman Garza. Councilman Garza, do you have comments?
Yeah, just real quick. Thank you, Council President. So I just wanted to bring focus to the I Love My City event that happens every year. It will be happening this April 24th at 10 a.m. at the Lansing South Church of Nazarene at 401 West Holmes, Lansing, Michigan. So they'll be meeting behind the church. I'll be providing some grabbers for the trash and some trash bags as well. But it's an event they put on every year. They beautify South Lansing. There's numerous projects that they're involved in cleaning up South Lansing and beautifying South Lansing. So anybody that's interested, they are looking for volunteers to attend. So once again, that is April 24th at 10 a.m. at the Lansing South Church of Nazarene. Thank you.
If that concludes remarks, then we're on to community event announcements. Does anyone have a community event announcement? You have 1 minute to speak. I see Loretta coming on up.
Hi. Well, along with all these other beautification projects, the Friends of Lansing's Historic Cemeteries typically does our annual spring cleanup inside Mount Hope Cemetery. And again, we also are looking for volunteers for that. It is on Sunday, April 24th from 1 to 3 inside Mount Hope Cemetery. We do provide the breaks and the bags and the other utensils, if you will, that go with it. We'll also be providing snacks and beverages. And we do ask that you bring your own gloves if you can. But we're looking for around 24 people to work in Mount Hope Cemetery from 1 to 3 on Sunday the 24th. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a
Councilman Garza.
Thank you. Typically we don't respond, but North Cemetery is on the list for the I Love My City, so there will be people there cleaning up that cemetery as well.
Okay, so we're to speaker registration and public comment on legislative matters. You have 1 more minute to come speak, to complete the blue sheet, and you can hand it to Jessica with the, on any items 5 through 21, which includes the 2 public hearings, the consent agenda, resolution for action, and the ordinance for introduction. So you must to speak, you want to sign up on the blue sheet. And if you're here for the show cause hearing for 3601 Deerfield, please sign in on the green sheet. But I believe we already have those. So now on to the mayor's comments.
Mayor Shore.
Thank you. I have a few. First, I wanted to alert the body. Judy Keeler will be leaving us. I know she was reaching out to several of you. She had an incredible new opportunity as a CEO. I'm very excited for her. Disappointed for our city, but I'm really very excited for her. I know she's going to be fantastic. She'll be leaving in about a week and a half, but she did give me notice, and I wanted to make sure to pass that on to you all. We'll work on the new CSO, but I do wish her the best of luck. She is very excited, and I'm very excited for her. So wanted to make sure you all knew that. Yard waste. I know this comes up every year, so I wanted to remind everybody. April 25th is the start. I went for my first run the other day and saw some bags out already, so we're trying to remind folks, April 25th is the start. Just so you all know, it will be weekly. We have gone back to weekly, although I will caution everybody that according to Andy Kilpatrick, because of volume, the first 2 passes we're usually a little bit late. So put it out normal time. It may not get picked up on the day. We're usually a little bit late that first 2 passes because people put out a lot of bags, a high volume of bags. And then anybody who wants, we will have a day-to-day collection map on our website, so you can check out where we are in the collection. But just for the viewers out there and for your constituents, put it out on the regular days. They will get to it, and it starts the 25th. So I'm sure we'll all get requests to know why their yard waste hasn't been picked up in the first 2 or 3 weeks, but that's the plan. Saturday, April 16th, the City of Lansing will have our mobile food pantry at Catholic Central, same as always, starting at 9 until the food runs out. And then tomorrow, we have our first responder food distribution from 5 until 7 p.m. at the Schmidt Center. So we'll have a second opportunity. Finally, I wanted to follow up on something. I think at the last meeting, there were questions about tree replacement requests. The answer is people can request a tree replacement through Lansing Connect. They can call the new 311 system, or they can use our website to request a tree through public service or parks. So we can pass that on to folks who have those questions. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Okay, then we are to the show cause hearing and consideration of orders to make safe or demolish to the owners of property located at 3601 Deerfield Avenue.
Vice President Wood.
Thank you, President Hussein. What we have before us is a property that was originally red tagged on September 3rd, 2020. The estimated repairs for this property at the time of the make safe or demolish were $71,916. During our meeting, the code compliance officer felt that there would be additional dollars needed for this because the roof had been removed from this. The committee voted move this forward for a public hearing. Later this evening, we will be voting on to set a second public hearing to make sure that all interested parties have been notified. There was some concern that they might not have all been notified, so we will be doing August. April 25th, we will be doing another public hearing. Also, we received communication from the building safety. Building safety said that this building is considered unsafe and dangerous. They have allowed the owner to put a tarp on the roof and that he had started work without permits. The building safety department at this time cannot allow any further work to be done as we do not know the structural integrity of the building. According to the Building Safety Code 907.4.1, evaluation and analysis, an engineer's evaluation and analysis that establishes the structure's adequacy of the altered structure shall be prepared by a registered design professional and submitted to code. And it is the department's recommendation that it is beyond the point of repair and that it would need an engineer to have that determination. So I wanted to make the council aware of that at this time.
Okay, so we have two people to speak. First is Rocky. You'll have 3 minutes, followed by Robert Kennedy. Yep, see you, Robert. Rocky, you can come to the mic.
Okay. Well, I had a meeting with the city attorney's office the other day, and he told me that brings you attention. I've been a commercial contractor since 1988. I got an asbestos supervisor cards. We do have asbestos removal, and I got a sewer license too. So it's not like this isn't gonna be a problem fixing this house up. So I just wondering if we could get a temporary permit to get a roof on it. I didn't know if that'd be possible. We got a tarp on it. We got a commercial grade tarp or plastic on it right now.
So sir, this is your time, your 3 minutes with regards to the actual hearing. We certainly can circle back and work to answer those
All right,
questions.
well, I just want to wait.
Is that it? Okay, thanks so much.
Okay, then Robert Kennedy.
Hope everybody had a nice weekend. I spent my Sunday afternoon crawling around this house. there's nothing unusual about this house. I don't know. No one's been in there to inspect it. I mean, is that the case? So, but I've been designing houses and designing plans for remodeling houses, for 35, 40 years now. What happened, there was some ice damming. There was not enough insulation at the corner of the roof and the wall. It ice dammed. The water backed up and it rotted off the ends of the roof, the overhang that hangs out past the roof. In a few areas, water leaked around a window, gone in and it rotted the bottom of the studs around the window. These trusses, the inspector is very concerned about the trusses, about the plates separating, the steel plates that are pressed into a wood truss. I didn't see any of those that had any sign that they'd been moved or lifted or anything. It looks, if you don't look at the very bottom of the wall where all this water's just been splashing and hanging out for years, it looks like. I mean, that roof leaked for a while. It really doesn't look bad at all. I bet with 20 studs, it would be, and some 2x8 for the bond, and then just fix those roof tails. It would be fine. It would be as good as I can't get in the basement, but I've looked at the joists, and as wet as they are, with all the extra weight on them, I don't see any deflection in the joists, and they'll only get stiffer as they dry out. I don't see any rot other than a few areas, at the edge of the floor, which is an individual separate board that can be replaced, and at the edge of the roof, which is outside of the house. It's just it's a typical house. It didn't get enough maintenance. My own house, I had brand new windows, and a joint wasn't caulked properly, and it did the same thing. It rotted the entire wall and edge of 2 floors. But it's not a big deal to fix it. It's just you got to take care of the rot and cut out the rot and put in new wood, and then just the rest of it's just clean, just like any other old home. You clean it up and kill the mold and seal it and then start over. I've never, I've worked on houses that had, logs for floor joists, and they've been there since the 1860s, and I've never had anybody, and they all have problems. Every older house has problems, and a lot of newer houses have problems. I just don't understand why this one's gotten so, for some reason, it's getting so much attention.
Thank you.
Vice President Wood?
I'm not sure whether City TV still has pictures of that property. Do we still have pictures?
You would have had some nice color pictures.
They're on the screen now.
Yeah, I don't have my phone. You would have had nice color pictures, but I ran out of ink. Wait.
And then to address the permit issue, City Council cannot order the Building Safety Office to issue a permit. That's something that has to be done. They're the ones that issue those permits. And again, we will have another public hearing on this on April 25th, and then it will go back to Public Safety, and then at that time, Public Safety will make a determination. So that's where we are currently.
That's an awful lot that could be an awful lot of water it is spring. It would,
We're to referral to show cause hearing.
Public safety.
Okay.
yeah, we done with that, show cause.
Yes, sir, we are. So that has been referred back to public safety, but as stated, we will have another public hearing on April 25th.
Yes.
But because that is up, you can also sign up for, or are we done with, we're not done with sign up yet are we, for legislative items? Because we are going to act on the April 25th public hearing as a late item, you can also speak to this issue as part of the council comments tonight, okay, on legislative matters.
Without a permit, there's no way we can get permission to pump that water out of the basement and find out if the city
That's,
plugged or it's just
no, you have to work with the building safety officer. We don't have the ability to permit you to do any of that. Okay, thank you so much.
As I read the code,
Yep.
unsafe is just, if it's vacant and open. All right, thanks.
Okay, we are to public comment on legislative matters. Legislative matters consist of the following items on the agenda, items 5 through 18, which include the ordinance for introduction in regards to the licensing of waste haulers, the following 2 public hearings in consideration of the special assessment for Glenburn Commons, trash and grass abatement, and then in Act 8, 2021, real estate purchase agreement of GG Acquisition LLC for parking lot number 50 at the southwest corner of Pierre Marquette Drive and Shiawassee Street.
All right, so on the first public hearing, number 6, consideration of a special assessment, Councilwoman Spitzley.
Thank you, Mr. President. What we have before us is consideration of a special assessment for Glenburn Commons, better put on my glasses, for trash and grass abatement. This is kind of a unique situation. The houses in the Glenburn area are were part of a homeowners association where they would contribute funds to take care of the necessary yard work. There's a large green space area behind some of the homes there. That association, for various reasons, folded, and so there was a lot of dumping, and the grass and trash was collected, and so we worked out a deal with Glenburn Commons for the city of Lansing, basically to do that. And to take care of the yard work and trash. And then there is an assessment for each home in that area for those dollars to reimburse. It's about $40 per home. And we've done this for the past 3 or 4 years. And with that, I would move the resolution.
This is just for a public hearing.
I'm sorry, this is
All
for
right.
a public hearing.
And then with
Apologize.
regard to the number 7, in consideration of Act 8, 2021, we did have a presentation during our special ceremony, on that. Councilman Garza, is there anything to add before we get to legislative comment?
Thank you, Council President. Nope, nothing else to add. Thank you.
All right, then so the public may come and speak for up to 3 minutes. First, I want to make the council and the public aware that I have communication regarding claim appeal 1878 from Jolena O'Berry that has been provided to you and will be part of the permanent record. Our first speaker is Loretta Stanaway, followed by Billy J. O'Berry.
Okay, just briefly, on the shuffleboard thing, I just want to point out, I'm pretty sure I remember seeing in the charter that there is a 25 or possibly even as a 50-foot buffer zone from the river's edge in that cannot be developed. And I just want to make certain that you guys have looked at this to make sure these changes don't impact that protected zone of riverfront property. And on the lease agreement, otherwise, I think it sounds all right. I'm, again, like Jeremy, concerned about parking, but it sounds like they think they have that covered. On the Lot 50, first off, I think that, I've said this before many times over many years here, I think we have an inferiority complex. We don't value ourselves and our properties and our positions enough, and we're too eager and quick to take the cheapest, easiest thing that comes along out of fear that nothing better will develop. I will say that if I were a real estate developer or an investor and I heard what was proposed here tonight, I would go out and I would come back with an offer for $150,000 for that lot. You would be hard pressed to turn that down. I would sit on it for 3 or 4 years, and then when Gillespie had to have it for that property development, I'd sell it at a premium. So I don't know why we are constantly giving away our assets at pennies on the dollar value. And I think that this is another one of those situations. It's too cheap and it's too easy. And we need to stop doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Billy J. O'Barry, followed by Andrea Vale.
I'm going to take a couple of quick seconds because I just learned of Tony Benavides's passing. So I'm going to use a little bit of my time to say that as an assistant city attorney for 32 years, I was fortunate to be able to work with and for Tony Benavides. And he and Carmen were always very gracious and very supportive in my political endeavors over the years. And whenever I'd go to his home, he and Carmen and his family would be there, and they'd have picnics and barbecues, and just very, very sweet, gracious people. So I send my heartfelt condolences from my family to the Benavides family. The claim today is 1878. I'm here on behalf of my daughter, Jolene O'Barry, is the homeowner of that property. I have the pictures that are in your packet are pictures that I took. The Code Compliance Office does not have any photographs of the property. This is a home. This isn't a substandard property. It's never been cited for a code violation. There was no red tagging of this property. And if you look at the history on the property, you'll see that one time there was a notice for long grass, which we mowed, and probably, in fact, I was the one that probably mowed it. But we've owned that property now for, my granddaughter's 15 years old, so we've owned that property. She has, my daughter, and it was my father, Walter Hicks, who has passed away for 15 years, and never had long grass, never had trash or debris, never had snow removal done by anyone but us on behalf of my daughter. You'll see in the packet the interior of the house. The reason why I put that in there is to show that this is not a substandard house that was open and accessible and a hazard to anyone. There is a report apparently where a neighbor called and said that she thought there was an open door. I am unaware of that. My daughter was commuting to Saginaw. She also is an attorney, assistant prosecutor, and she was commuting and is gone a lot. In fact, tonight, I think she's still at work. So I regularly stop by there, I check it. My husband's in the area quite often. We check the property. This property is enclosed by a wood fence, a 6-foot privacy wood fence that has a sliding lock, which you'll see in the photographs. We could not figure out how anybody got into the yard, except that there's a 4-foot section of the fence in the backyard that somebody had knocked down. We did not know who knocked the fence down and got into her backyard. Added to that, the deck is about 5 feet off the ground, and then there's the French doors. The French doors closed, the French doors locked. I took pictures of the locks that are in there. This is simply, there's a deadbolt lock for the protection of a single woman, both the front door and the back door, but all you have to do is turn the button on the lock as you do with any door and pull it closed and it would be locked. There's a reference in this incident report. What I was wondering is if there was a hot pursuit. There was not. There was no search warrant, and therefore there's no basis for them to have boarded this door.
Thank you.
Presented no hazard whatsoever.
Our next speaker is Andrea Vale, followed by Kyle Richard.
Hi there. Thank you guys so much for your time. My claim is claim 2836, item 19. So what happened was there was some issue with my yard. I was not mowing it appropriately. I understand. And I had to cut down a tree because the tree was going to potentially be a danger to my house. It's a very small house. It's tucked back. Lots of trees, beautiful. It's like a little forest wooded area in the middle of Lansing. That's why I picked this home, because it's gorgeous and it's in Lansing. So we cut down this tree, and a few months later, a gentleman was taking pictures of my house, went up to him, said, "What are you doing?" He said that there was a complaint about the yard, about the grass. So I said, "Okay, give me a day, I'll get it taken care of." Took care of the grass. He asked about the backyard. I said we cut down a tree, and he never said anything about the backyard. I did receive some letters. I'm traveling a lot to do various different performance arts and things like that throughout the summer. And stacks of mail are tedious, as one would know. So Didn't get the notices. Next thing you know, a month later, some gentlemen, 3 guys in a truck, came and started removing things from my yard. My roommate at the time gave me a call and said that they were doing that. So there was a whole bunch of pictures that were taken, and I did my own independent research per the request of Todd Tennis, Ingham County Commissioner. I used to intern with him, and this is what his recommendation was. So I contacted 16 different companies. There are several pictures that were taken. I sent some of them 2 of the pictures that they, of the actual debris that they took, and then the 2 pictures of the empty truck, so they had reference, and then the picture of the full truck. They're saying that they took 20 cubic yards. That is not true. I did the measurements, it was approximately 14. Well, it was a little less than that, it was actually closer to 10, but we're using 14 as a reference. So of the 16 companies that I called, 1 was closed, 4 did not answer me, 3 I did not send pictures. They still quoted me. $400 for 20 cubic yards of brush, $700 to $1,000, but they needed machine access. $250 to quote it over the phone. Did send them pictures, but they didn't respond. Of the 6 that I did send pictures, less than 500. 3 guys, 1 hour, approximately 150. The next, not 20 yards is what he said, $200 for a quote. 1 hour, 100 per guy, total 300 for the next company. 3-man crew, 1 hour, 250 plus 50 to haul, approximately 300. Another one said, not 20 yards, 1 to 2 guys, 250, 300 max. Sorry, the last guy said when I quoted him, the $1,800 that they're charging for 1 truckload of brush, that's insane. 350 for the next company, even though we don't, and they quoted, even we don't use Eric's Refuge because they charge so much. The next 2 sent pictures, but I didn't get a response. Eric Refuge is taking advantage of this council by charging too much. And if you don't help me by lowering my rate, and I'm fine with paying, I'm fine with that, but this is insane. Eric's Refuge needs to stop being hired by Lansing. Thank you.
Thank you. And the last speaker is Kyle Richard.
Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. I'm here to speak on item 7 regarding the sale of parking lot number 50. I don't know. I consider it always to be a good day when Loretta and I agree on something. I really don't think that we should be selling our city. I don't think that, I personally think that the Gillespie Group has more than enough land in our city already, and I know that economic development is a priority for the president, and I think that if we're talking about economic development, continuing to consolidate land and resources into the hands of the few, which the Gillespies represent in this city, I really don't think is a step towards long-term economic development. I think it's really short-term gains for Gillespie, and it's frustrating because, I mean, he essentially came down here with a half-baked promise. You know, I might be able to get the sale if y'all sell me the parking lot. I might be able to get the sale. I don't think we should sell anything to the Gillespies unless it's a full-faced promise. I don't think we should sell anything to the Gillespies at all. Thank you.
Thank you. That was our last speaker. So we're to referral the public hearings. Glenberg Commons
City operations.
and the Act 8 Real Estate Purchase Agreement, Lot 50.
Economic development and plan.
Okay, we are next to the consent agenda.
All right, so with regard to the consent agenda, do we have anybody that would like to pull anything? All right, seeing none, Vice President Wood.
Our first item on the consent agenda is a tribute on the Fair Housing Act, declaring April 2022 as a Fair Housing Month. Next is a grant acceptance for emergency supplemental funding from the state revenue to the courts. What this would do is purchase 4 kiosks that would allow the public to pay tickets, talk directly to court employees without having to have face-to-face comments. Next is a rejection of the elected officers' compensation for the city clerk's raise. The next one is a rejection of the determination of the Elected Compensations Commission regarding the mayor. The next is setting a public hearing for the fiscal year 2022-23 budget. This would be for May 6th, that public hearing. Next is setting the public hearing for the Community Development Block Grant, and that would be for April 25th. The next is consideration of setting the public hearing for a consideration for the Fourth Amendment for the lease agreement for Lansing Shuffleboard, and that would also be April 25th. The next is the street decertification for 8th Street between Jerome and East Michigan Avenue. And then last is social district update, the various provisions with that. So with those, I would move the resolutions.
There is a motion on the floor. Councilwoman Spitzley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to pull item number 10, rejection of the determinations of the Elected Officers Compensation Committee regarding the city clerk.
Okay, and so for a quick explanation, in terms of rejections of any determination by the EOCC, we actually need majority support from this council, okay? So what happened during Committee of the Whole, and we actually misspoke, what happened during Committee of the Whole was that the rejection for the determination by the EOCC regarding the mayor was not approved. Is that correct? Yes.
No.
No, I'm sorry,
Was.
for the city clerk.
6-2.
I'm sorry, for the city clerk. The rejection for the mayor was. With regards to the city clerk, we had 5 yea votes and 3 nay. And because of that supermajority piece, there was some confusion. It actually does come out of committee on a simple majority. But in order to actually pass this body and be taken into effect, essentially, it has to have supermajority. And so what I'm hearing is you would like Councilwoman Wood to reconsider her motion to pull, or to not include, number 10. Is that correct?
That would be correct.
All right. And then Councilman Jackson.
It was going to be the same motion.
Absolutely. Mr. Smirka.
Microphone.
This body has to reject by 6 votes.
Right.
Otherwise, it takes effect. I mean, just
Right.
simple as that,
Yep.
so.
Well, thank you so much. Vice President Wood.
I would amend my motion to pull item number 10 from that.
All right. So there is a motion on the floor. Seeing no other discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Okay, then we are to resolutions for action, and then we'll take up the number 10 this time.
Vice President Wood.
Thank you. At this point, I would move the rejection of the determination of the Elected Compensation Commission regarding the city clerk. Again, as the city attorney said, this is a 6-2 vote for a super majority. And also, this recommendation is for a 5% increase for 2023 and 2024.
All right. There is a motion on the floor. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify. All right. Mr. Jackson, go ahead.
Just quickly, because again, I know it's political and polarizing, and maybe people didn't see the Committee of the Whole, but I'm going to support the recommendation of the Elected Officials Compensation Commission because that's their job by the charter. And I know I don't want to set the prices, and that's what they're here to do, and we confirmed them to do that. So for the most part, I'm going to support their recommendation, almost to no matter what it is, almost, even if it was takeaway money. But in this case, they used their reasonable, rational methodology to get this done, so I'll support it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling for a roll call.
Roll call vote. Clerk Jackson.
Councilmember Brown.
Just want to make sure I understand.
So yes is to support the rejection. Oh, I'm sorry, we have to first vote on the roll call. We do not. This is.
No.
Sorry, a vote of yes is to support rejecting the EOCC recommendation of the 5% consecutive years. No would be to not support the recommendation, I'm sorry, the rejection. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, but it does.
It does.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is you either support the resolution to reject the recommendation, or you do not support the resolution to reject the recommendation.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Sure.
Yes or no? All right, fantastic.
Councilmember Brown.
Yes.
Councilmember Daniels.
Yes.
Councilmember Garza.
Yes.
Councilmember Hussein.
Yes.
Councilmember Jackson. Councilmember Spatafor. No. Councilmember Spitzley.
No.
Councilmember Wood.
Yes.
Okay, so the motion fails. So we're now on to number 17, fiscal year 2021-2022 budget amendments.
Vice President Wood.
What we have before us is an amendment to our budget. This was moved forward out of committee of a whole with some questions dealing with the $2 million that is to be appropriated for the eligible workers that were part of the first responders. With that, I would move the resolution and then open it up for further discussion. So right now, I'm moving the resolution.
All right, so there is a motion on the floor. Further discussion. Vice President Wood.
Okay, my first question would be, and I addressed this earlier, had to do with the possibility of putting a resolution or a clause in here that said within the next 30 days that all efforts would be made to make sure that the premium pay for first responders would be paid. And part of what we heard from, and the finance director is here and can correct me if I am wrong with this, and I think Jake is here too, as well, is that they are working to get the numbers, but there is the potential that this might not happen until August, even though they would like it to happen before that. And a number of us on council were very concerned about the fact that what we were looking at is that far out.
Mayor Shore, would you like to address that?
They're in negotiations now. I mean, this is between our labor negotiator and the unions. She's negotiating with each of the unions, and they're in negotiations now. They're working on the different members that are eligible and conditions and things. They're discussing this right now. So it'll be done when it's done. I can't give you an exact date, but I can tell you that Elizabeth is working with our unions to identify the members, and as soon as we have those lists, we're ready to issue the dollars.
Well, I have two proposals. I mean, the one proposal is to add a clause in here that talks about the fact that these would be, the hope is that these would be paid for in 30 days. The other is to table this until we get additional information on this. And so what I'm hearing at this particular point is that we're still waiting to get the numbers, and there's no reassurance that will happen in a timeline. So I'll let others discuss and then come back.
Councilwoman Spitzley.
Thank you, Mr. President. My concern, and Vice President Wood mentioned it earlier, but my concern is that, you know, while this is happening, we hear from finance that, you know, it could be as soon as tomorrow, or it could be in August, which is a very wide span of time But in between that span of time, people are retiring, they're leaving the city. What about the folks who've already left the city, who are our first responders during the pandemic? You know, I'm not getting any assurance that those folks are going to be compensated or that this is going to happen anytime soon. And, you know, they're talking about they're still getting lists of folks who are eligible, and it's 2022. And if you knew the people who got the $1,000, why wouldn't you know the people who will get this premium pay? It doesn't, to me, I'm still confused as to why you were able to give $1,000 immediately to a subset group of people, but now, when you're talking premium pay, you don't know who that subset group of people are.
And I do believe Mayor Shore, wants to address that. Mayor Shore?
Well, there are a lot of easy answers. These are very different rules. We gave $1,000 to every first responder. Now we're looking at anybody who is eligible under the new set of rules, which came out in May. The rules came out in May. We identified that we had dollars available. We're working on this now. Now, you asked this to our finance director and to our budget director, but neither of them are negotiating with our union friends. Our chief labor negotiator is, and again, we're waiting on the lists from the unions on who they believe is eligible. We check that against eligibility. As soon as we have that, we issue the funds. We have qualifications that we can utilize under federal law, which are very different than the $1,000 per person that we gave out from the federal government through the state to the locals about a year ago. So the answer is the rules came in March. Jake went through them with a fine-tooth comb. We found who we now are eligible, and we identified $2 million, and we started having conversations with our labor friends.
Okay, and just for the record, so you stated two different things. You stated that the new rules came out last May.
March.
And then you said March. Thank you.
Did I say May?
You did, twice. Yep.
Sorry, March.
That's okay.
They came out March. Sorry about that. Did I say? They came out in March.
That's all right.
That just passed. So we're, a month or so into the new rules. Something like that.
Councilwoman Spitzley, anything else?
That's fine. I will support whichever one you put forth.
Vice President Wood.
I would move to table this until April 25th to see if we can get some additional answers.
And to remind folks, a motion to table is not debatable, and you have to decide on it without discussion. So with that being said, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Okay, next we're to claim disposition, claim number 1879.
Councilwoman Spitzley.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a claim disposition 1879 for Mr. Gerald D. Phillips for $3,758. This came straight to general operations. Claims over $2,500 do not go to the claims review. We've tried to work with Mr. Phillips for several months. According to his representative, he's had health issues. He was supposed to, or his representative, his attorney was supposed to attend on Tuesday of last week and did not attend on Tuesday, and therefore we moved forward to deny the claim for $3,758 for trash violation fees at 4805 Pleasant Grove. And with that, I move the resolution.
All right, there's a motion on the floor. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Next we're to claim disposition, claim number 1868 with Andrea Vale for 411 Dunlap.
Councilwoman Spitzley.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have a claim disposition, claim number 1868 for Ms. Andrea Vale for $2,068 in trash violation fees at 411 Dunlap Street. The resident who spoke today was correct. She was originally cited for grass, but as we all know, and the policy is, once our folks get on site and they identify other violations or other things that need to be addressed, they will do so. She was sent multiple notices and did not respond to any of the notices. The contractor went out and had to had to make two trips, according to them, for approximately 20 yards of debris. Again, because she was cited multiple times, and, did not respond to the citations, I would move to deny her claim of $2,068 for trash violation fees.
All right, there is a motion on the floor to deny claim number 1868. Is there further discussion? Councilman Jackson.
Thank you. Just hearing, what she had to say and the research she did as far as the, comparable refuge haulers. Understand there were quotes, but they were significantly less. And I've always thought that our fees were high, and I understand that some of it is administrative as well. But it does seem like Eric's Refuge has a monopoly on our business, and I don't know what kind of checks and balances there's done, but 2,000 seems like a lot, especially with the quotes. So, I would, move to make it half of that and say $1,000. And I guess that would be the amendment that I offer now.
Councilman Spatafor.
Councilmember Jackson, thanks for your comments on that. I actually looked into this as well. Commissioner Tennis reached out to me, and the answer to this is when this is bid, very few, if any, other refuse companies will respond because it is inherently dangerous work in some cases. You're entering properties of folks that sometimes aren't pleasant, and there's a risk factor involved there to do this work, and we don't have the staff to do it in the city. So I'm encouraging that we bid the service out as often as we can to see if we can find more folks. But the answer is we don't get responsive bidders when we do bid. And the mayor can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the information I got from the administration.
No, that's absolutely correct. As a matter of fact, we had this conversation last year as part of city operations, and we actually, as a committee, put pressure on the department to rebid, and the reality is nobody's bidding. Councilwoman Spitzley.
Well, I was going to say the same thing. When I was on general ops a few years ago, we have, this comes up a number of times where we are always checking and asking about the bids and the contractor. And it is true, even as chair of government operations 4 years ago, we rebid it out, and there was only one person that responded to the bid. So, we do rebid on a regular basis. No one else responds. These are difficult, and, I honestly sympathize with your position. I do. But, being on this committee for a number of times, and I told you there, what did it for me was the fact that you were notified multiple times and you had an opportunity, to make good. And for whatever reason, the mailings went unanswered. I think it'd have been different if they went to the wrong address or they weren't exactly delivered, but they were delivered.
Okay, and I did just have a conversation with the city attorney because this came out of committee, and because the motion has been made by the chair. This is simply an up or down vote. That being said, before I call for a vote on this issue, one of the things we discussed in committee as well with regards to the actual price that wasn't reflected necessarily in the conversation, and again, I absolutely sympathize, and we had those conversations as part of the committee, but was that a lot of, when you talk about brush as an example, this has to be processed off-site. So when you talk about manpower, hours, things of that nature, a lot of that work is done after the actual hauling away. So with that being said, there is a motion on the floor. Councilman Garza.
Thank you, Council President. Just real quick, and I just want to say, I talked to Todd Tennis as well, and I do sympathize with you guys, and I will be advocating for a stronger outreach to bring in more refuse services to the city of Lansing. I do believe Eric's Refuge has a monopoly on this, and the prices are exorbitant. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to support this. You did receive a letter, and we have a process, and I wish you would have seen that, and we would have been able to work with you.
All right, So again, there is a motion on the floor to deny in full. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-1.
Okay, our next claim disposition is claim number 1878 for Jelena O'Berry for 1813 East Kalamazoo Street.
Councilwoman Spitzley.
Thank you, Mr. President. What we have before us is a claim for $651.81 in board-up fees at 1813 East Kalamazoo Street. Apparently, the French doors in back of this residence were opened. It is our understanding, based on the incident report that dispatch put forth. It's a CAD report, but it's a report that a neighbor called because the French doors had been open for about 3 weeks, and they had not seen anybody enter or leave the house. And, you know, the police came, the doors were open, they were unsecured, you know, and because of that, they felt that there was, you know, it's a clear and present danger. These are pictures that were taken by Ms. O'Berry, by the person who is disputing the claim. Apparently, code enforcement at the time didn't take pictures, or their camera was lost or something, but they did not have pictures. But the police were called. They made a determination that the house was not secure, and that they went through the house, and there were animals in the house, and they called animal control, and then code to board up. Let's see what else. But it was as a result of someone calling, noticing that there was, the doors had been open for quite a long time. It's my understanding that there was no contact information in BS&A because the owner didn't provide such information to the assessor, so there was no way to contact the owner of record to see whether or not they knew their doors were open. But it is our understanding, based on the dispatch, that the doors had been open for quite a bit. And so with that, and, you know, I read the information. We all got a copy of the email from Ms. O'Berry regarding her arguments, which some, you know, so, but with that, I am going to move the resolution for the claim of $651.80 in board-up fees.
Vice President Wood.
Councilmember Spitzley, this went to claims review?
It went to, I'm sorry, and thank you for that. It did go to claims review. They did have some raised eyebrows because there weren't photos. But they felt that because the police were called, and because the police, in their professional opinion, felt that it was a clear and present danger, the doors were open. You know, they went through, but leaving the doors open would potentially invite other crime in the home, and because of that, they boarded it up. So claims review did uphold the fee as well.
Are there questions or comments that remain? All right, seeing and hearing none, there is a motion on the floor.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, Councilman Brown.
Is it the regular procedure that pictures are taken in this kind of incident?
Yes, and we all had heartburn about the fact that there were no pictures. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Daniels.
Thank you, President Hussein. I'll just say that I was actually inclined to agree with Mrs. O'Berry because there were no pictures. And they said that the camera was lost in between the time that the pictures were taken and when they received the bill, and it went to where committee?
Claims review.
To claims. But I was so uncomfortable with the idea that there were no pictures of this that I just couldn't agree with it.
Yeah, we had quite a bit of conversation, obviously, in committee about that. We also talked about, and, you know, obviously, we can't demand, but what we would like to see, I think, on our end, so that we can make, you know, prudent decisions, is, you know, CAD reports with regards to this, because we actually did get the Lansing Police Department. Mr. Merritt actually told us that reports are typically not written up on this. And so most of the information we get is actually from the dispatch log, which comes through their CAD system. And so if we, I guess I'm requesting as part of our packet that from here on out, we have CAD reports whenever possible, as well as those pictures. That being said, there is a motion on the floor.
Yep.
And more discussion, Councilwoman?
No, just to let you know, I was inclined to support you tonight, Councilmember Daniels, but for the CAD report and some of the language here saying that the doors have been open for 3 weeks. I agree. Going forward, that would be helpful to substantiate whatever decision we make in the future. So.
Absolutely. All right. I think we are ready for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
Nay.
All right, so it passes 5-3.
Okay, next is resolution support of City Lansing community-funded project request to Congresswoman Alyssa Slotkin.
Now I'm actually going to pass the gavel over to Vice President Wood to be recognized.
You are recognized, President Hussein.
Fantastic. And this actually came to me from the mayor's office. So what you have before you is a resolution in support of the City of Lansing's community-funded project request, again, to Congresswoman Alyssa Slotkin. Mayor Shore and I talked beforehand. I think it would be better if he first discussed the actual requests that have been or are going to be put forth to Congresswoman Alyssa Slotkin, and then I will move the resolution. Mayor Shore.
Thank you, Council President. You all know that last year in the current budget, we received money for a variety of things. The Congress is once again using, I forgot what they're called, they're earmarks. They're giving earmarks to different communities, and they've set aside some money. We have been alerted by Congresswoman Slotkin's office, as well as Senator Peters and Senator Stabenow, that they're each going through that process. Senator Peters and Senator Stabenow are actually looking budget by budget through the federal budget and asking for folks to submit. So our departments are each submitting requests to Senator Peters and Senator Stabenow based on their budget. So you may have economic development stuff through the HUD budget, the federal HUD budget. You may have park stuff through the Department of the Interior budget, and so forth. So our departments are working very, very hard on that, putting that together. Senator Peters' deadline is coming up, and Senator Stabenow's deadline is a little bit later. Congresswoman Slotkin did something a little different. Last year, she asked for a variety of proposals from communities across her district, and she, in essence, recommended the top 5 that they had evaluated. This year, they're planning to recommend, and all 5 were funded. This year, they're planning to recommend the top 15. So they asked every community to provide them with projects. We challenged our department directors to come up with projects, and we came up with 32 or 33 projects, some really good stuff. And our department directors really worked hard on proposals. We worked with Congresswoman Slotkin's office to figure out which ones were the most likely to get funded, and we narrowed it down to 5, because that's what they told us to do. The first one is the Ovation Music and Arts Center. I think you're familiar with that, the Performing Arts Center downtown. The second one is the footing drain disconnect program. So especially those on the south side know that whenever we get floods, it's a low area, we get tons of flooding, and we need these drain footings. There's been conversation in the past on requiring it, but they're expensive, so this would be money for us to provide these drain footings to prevent flooding. The third one is a program with LFD, the fire department, where we would pay to train EMTs to be paramedics. As you all know, we are I wouldn't say dangerously, we are very short on paramedics. We've had to hire specifically paramedics, but we also like to hire EMTs, so this would allow us to hire EMTs to come in and then get trained, and it would be paid for. The fourth one is a series of splash pads that we believe would be great for our community, and the Congresswoman's office liked that idea as well. And then the fifth one is the downtown kind of infrastructure, the electrical grid and things like that, which needs to be updated in order to have a more updated downtown. We need, the electrical is quite old And some of our businesses and building owners and things are seeing that, and as they're trying to improve, they're running into electrical problems. So again, I could read to you 28 others, and I've got this entire packet that's thick, and many of the others will go into Senator Peters and Stabenow, but for Congresswoman Slotkin, these are the ones. They very strongly, we've already submitted these initially, and they very strongly suggest that we have letters of support. We're certainly going to go out to the community and ask for letters of support. We're going to go out to our individual boards, our Parks Board, our Public Service Board. But we felt very strongly that this city council needed to show support as well. So we listed it. Mark wrote all of this in a night, so I appreciate it, Mark. He wrote all of this. They wanted one resolution in support. And so this resolution basically explains the 5 projects that I just mentioned to you. And I hope you would agree to support it. We'll send it from you to Congresswoman Slotkin, and certainly we'll provide them to Senator Peters and Stabenow as well, although it'll be more expansive with those 2. And let's get ourselves some federal dollars for our city.
We have a motion on that, and Councilmember Garza.
Thank you, Vice President Wood. Is there Davis-Bacon dollars attached to this since it's federal?
In terms of how it's spent, if it's us
So-
spending it, we're prevailing wage.
Okay, so
but
what,
this is
I guess
city.
what I'm saying is with like the ovation and the sewer footing, or the drain footings that you mentioned, I want to make sure, if it's a possibility, if we can go back to Slotkin's office and make sure Davis-Bacon dollars are implemented in that, so that we make sure our local workers are getting those jobs.
I don't know if the earmarks are Davis-Bacon. I would assume so, because I think all federal dollars are, but I don't want to steer you wrong, so we can
No,
ask.
they're not all, but
We
since
can
they're
certainly
coming
ask
from
that
federal, they
question.
can be.
Yeah, anything that comes to us, certainly we're paying our people and we're paying prevailing wage through the city. In terms of giving money towards the ovation, I don't know. We'll have to find out.
I just want to make sure, no contractors from out of state are coming in and taking our jobs.
Well, again, we've got a universal development agreement, and it'll depend on how the ovation is done, but especially if it's city-owned, which is, we're still working through a lot of that, it's highly likely it would go through our processes, which would be prevailing wage.
Okay, thank you.
So I would expect it would be, even if the dollars aren't Davis-Bacon from the feds, they would be prevailing wage from the city.
All right.
Are there other questions? And again, just for clarification, this is saying this is our support. If we get the dollars, they have to come back through council to be appropriated, which at that particular point, we could make sure that issues that we might have that are outstanding that we could be brought up. And I'm getting nods from both the mayor and the president of council. So with that, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. I'll pass the gavel back.
Okay, so we're to the late item, the setting the hearing for 3601 Deerfield to make safe and demolish. So this will be a second hearing.
Vice President Wood.
Thank you. As indicated during the public hearing announcement, there has been some concern about the ownership on this particular property. And based on that, it was the recommendation of the city attorney to make sure that all people that might have any interest in this property be notified and make sure before any other action was done. So what we're asking for is to hold another public hearing on this for April 25th. I do want to make you aware of, I know there was questions from some of our previous speakers about putting a roof on and things like that. As I indicated in the information that came from the Public Safety Department, they have given them permission to put a tarp over that, so it allows, hopefully as much as possible when there's no roof there. I'm not sure how well that will happen, but, that it will keep some of the water out. But with that, I would move setting the public hearing for April 25th.
All right, there's a motion on the floor. Further discussion? Seeing and hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Okay, next we are at the ordinance for introduction. I will read into the record the ordinance. Ordinance of the City of Lansing, Michigan, to amend Lansing codified ordinance by amending Chapter 1060, Section 1060.09, to add specific requirements that the applicant for a waste hauler license must provide to the city, and to create a reporting requirement for the applicant to provide the Public Service Department every 6 months. Ordinance was introduced by the Committee of City Operations, read by first time by its title, and referred to the Committee on City Operations.
Councilwoman Spitzley.
Thank you, Mr. President. So what we have before us, as the clerk said, is an ordinance to amend the codified ordinances, basically for licensing of waste haulers. The sustainability officer for the Public Services Department came in committee and talked about, requiring these waste haulers to provide reports to public service every 6 months regarding the actual weight and/or volume and description of the materials handled and trash collected and recyclables processed to the city of Lansing. Some of the information, the expected weight and/or volume and description of materials handled, collected schedule, specific routes. And this is just all about, the city and particularly public service, just trying to get a handle on, our solid waste activity, our recycling activity. And so with that, I would move the resolution to set a public hearing. I'm assuming this is going to be April 25th? For April 25th.
It is. All right, fantastic. There is a motion on the floor. Is there further discussion? Vice President Wood.
Thank you. Was there any discussion, Councilmember Spitzley, in committee about synchronizing schedules? I know that there has been discussion in the past about making sure that, especially those that are the larger waste haulers, that if the city is in one area one day, that everybody's in that area that same day, so that you're not having, the waste receptacles all out at the curb. Was there any discussion on that?
No, there was no discussion on that. This was really limited to just trying to get a handle on the volume and type of waste and that's collected from a numbers standpoint.
Maybe when that comes back after the public hearing, if that's something that you might look at or bring up, I would appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions, discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. President, point of order.
Councilman Spatafor.
I think there was a second late item that we've missed.
We actually considered that at the outset of resolutions for
All right, then I'm going to tell Sherry that she's sending me the wrong information. Thank you.
Or am I wrong? I thought we did.
We had the one item that was referred, and then the
You
one
are
item voted,
absolutely
but
correct, the decertification.
All right, there we
So
go.
that is my fault, yes. Thank you.
I would just like,
We apologize. We know you're looking in the back. So sorry.
let the record reflect
that
Sherry
was a
was
referral,
correct.
wasn't the act date?
That's a referral.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
correct. That's
yeah,
a referral.
that's a referral.
It's been a long night.
So Sherry,
It's going to.
Got it, all right.
Absolutely.
so Sherry, I got it right, but thanks.
Sherry, okay, we're all wrong.
Thank you.
We're all wrong and right at the same time.
I
All right, got it.
appreciate it.
Yeah, in my mind, I got jumbled. I was thinking of the item.
My
that got pulled
apologies.
From the consent. Thank you so much.
All right, we're to speaker registration, public comment. Last call, but I think the last two people here have already signed in, so we are on to reports of city officers, boards, and commissions.
All right, Vice President Wood.
Thank you. I would move that all reports of city officers, boards, and commissions be considered read in full, and that the proper referrals be made by you, Mr. President.
All right, there's a motion on the floor. Is there further discussion? Seeing and hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
All right, we're items from the city clerk, minutes, boards, and commission. Place on file.
Place on file. Yep.
We have a liquor license for Ellison Brewery Spirits for a new microbrewery license and tasting room, outdoor service, Sunday sales, catering, dance, entertainment permit for 1314 South Washington.
City Operations.
We are to a reappointment of Beth Graham as a second ward member of the Board and Water and Light for a term to expire June 30th, 2026.
Committee of the Whole.
We have a reappointment of Anthony Mullins as at-large member of Board and Water and Light for a term to expire June 30th, 2025.
Committee of the Whole.
We have appointment of Teresa Stokes as business owner, member of South Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard Corridor Improvement Authority for a term to expire July 31st, 2022.
Development and Planning.
We have a setting a public hearing for a noise special permit requesting construction for the combined sewer overflow project on South Martin Luther King along local streets near the Norfolk Southern Rail tracks on Saturdays from 8 to 5 from May 14th till November 4th.
City Operations.
We have a noise permit for the, wait, is that this? Oh, first, I'll just read it off. Looks redundant. Noise special permit request for construction of the combined sewer overflow at South Martin Luther King Boulevard, local streets near Norfolk Southern Railroad tracks on Saturdays 8 to 5.
City Operations.
Grant acceptance allocating sponsorship funds from Board and Water and Light and Capital Area Transit Authority for a Black History Mobile Museum.
Ways and Means.
American Rescue Plan, second tranche budget appropriation.
Ways and Means.
And then we have the late item referral, Act 4, 2022, street and land dedication for the Red Cedar developments.
That will go to City Operations.
And then communication petition, notice from Liquor Control Commission for J.K. Vino LLC for a new SDM license under MCL 436 for a new Sunday sales permit, new beer and wine tasting and catering.
City Operations.
Then we have another notice from the Liquor Control for Lansing Shuffleboard, request to transfer all membership interests by dropping existing member Jonathan Hartzell. As a result, the new member, Lansing Shuffleboard and Social Club LLC, will hold 100% membership.
City Operations.
Then we have an affidavit disclosure from Jesse Martin for Lansing Police Department.
Ethics Board.
And then an affidavit disclosure for Sean Mills with the Lansing Police Department.
And the Ethics Board.
And then we have a remarks by City Council member.
Any remarks, folks? Seeing none.
Remarks by the mayor.
Mayor Shore.
Just a reminder to everyone that this Friday is Good Friday and offices are closed at the city. Thank you.
So we're at the public comment for city government related matters. You have up to 3 minutes to speak. Loretta, you're up first, and then Kyle Richard, you are second.
Okay, this is just kind of a heads up. You may have seen this, you may know of it, you may not. The city is interested in putting on the August ballot a proposal to sell a small portion of the dedicated parkland specified for North Cemetery. It's a very small parcel, about 1/3 of an acre, and it's buffeted on one side by the actual border of the cemetery initially, and by a developer's land where he wants to build some fourplexes. The Parks Board and the Parks Director asked our Friends of Lansing's Historic Cemeteries group if we would support a ballot measure to sell that piece of land. We considered it, we talked with the director and with the developer, and our board voted that if the money from the sale went to improvements in North Cemetery, we would support putting it on the ballot. There's been also some discussion about what the sale of the land might bring in, and that number has jumped around in a very unfamiliar to me arc. But the thing I want to bring to your attention specifically tonight is that after our board met and after the park board met, then the language that the City Pulse and that your documents here in your packet published as what the proposed language for the ballot measure would be, includes the phrase sell or otherwise dispose of. That was not part of our discussion. We do not support having that language in the ballot proposal, and if that phrase remains in the ballot proposal, that land could be otherwise disposed of, we will pull our support. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Kyle Richard.
Good evening. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I'm here to speak on the budget. I watched Mayor Shor's presentation at the last city council meeting, and I just had a few things I wanted to speak on. The first one, police. Mayor Shore mentioned, we're actively hiring, we're doing it very quickly. I just want to remind everyone, this is very reactionary. It screams, clean up this mess, which is, not how public safety works in theory or in practice. Councilmember Garza mentioned community officers. I think that has some potential, but I did peep those new black uniforms, and they look like stormtroopers. It does not look friendly or someone I would want patrolling around my neighborhood. Second item, this was a brief thing that Mayor Shore mentioned. He mentioned labor negotiator from HR to move to the mayor's office. I think this is a clear example of executive overreach. I think this is a clear example of a move against working people in this city. And I would ask council to prevent such a move, because we saw how Mayor Shore treated workers when he first came into office, the purge that happened there, and the idea that the negotiator would be under his purview just does not sit right with me at all. Third item was a secondary hire for the sustainability plan. I appreciate Councilmember Jackson for bringing this up. Mayor Shore mentioned that he was unable to find money for this, which is really sad, because we're hiring more police officers, but we can't get one administrative position. And frankly, I'm frustrated with Mayor Shore. I personally feel like he's failing this city, failing the children of this city. And the fact that we can't find money for one administrative position for a sustainability plan is really sad, because if that plan goes in a binder and goes on a shelf, we will not only have failed the children of this city today, but the children of this city tomorrow and tomorrow's tomorrow. The sustainability plan is not a joke. It's something that should be taken tip-top priority. And the fact that you couldn't find the money, but we're still doling it out to the police is beyond me. Last item I got is something that I'm maybe a little hopeful about. We'll see. There was talk of a $50,000 operations expenditure requested by City Council. Councilmember Spatafor made the correction that it's an operations expenditure, not a new position. And I'm hoping that that's our money for hybrid meetings. If that's not our money for hybrid meetings, and we're not, because there was talk of budget priorities for next year, budget priorities for April. Here we are, it's next year, it's April. I'm hoping that's that money. So that's all I've got on the budget for now. Thank you. Have a good rest of your night.
Thank you. That's the last speaker.
With no other business before the body, we are adjourned at 9:17 p.m.